It's been broken down, revised, rebuilt. It's faster, smarter, and there when you want it.
STLR Media. Download the free app
Now!
Where's my phone?
and get raw, uncensored, and in your face audio.
There's an app for that.
La da 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 da. Hey, how y'all doing? This is Afro Man. You're listening to The Sky's the Limit Radio, and I know why. Yeah, because the sky's the limit. Buckeye.
Rise and shine, you woodchuckers. Boner's about to get on air and make you laugh so much you pee yourself. It's the Morning Wood.
Welcome back to the Morning Wood. We are joined with our special guest from Neurology of Cannabis. We have Brad in the building. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Oh, man, we're doing lovely. Glad to have you guys in here. Ran into Dr. Dave at the Dan. There we go. At the Treehouse event. Yeah, because we got high. We got at the Treehouse event, and with our boy Summer Survivors. Really great guy. And yes. I was like, man, with my brother being in some of the cannabis places and industries at points in his life, and we're definitely pro here at STLR, and with all the rules and the laws, and not really what we voted on, what they were supposed to be, and stuff like that. When I seen the pamphlets, I'm like, man, we got to get these dudes to come in here and talk about what it is that they got going on, what it is that they can help people with, because some people just don't know how to go about getting their medical cards, different things like that. So definitely thank you for taking time out of your day for coming in and to talk with us about it.
My pleasure, without a doubt. I'm here to try and help people and educate the best we can, and try and take the confusion away from everybody.
That's what it is, because here in Florida, there is a lot of people that are confused right now, because like High C said, all the laws that we voted for aren't what got put into play, so people really don't understand what's really going on and the fine line between the state rules and the government rules, because the government rules or the federal laws are what you really have to watch out for.
They really are, man, and that's the sad part about it. With as much help that marijuana can do, just medically, it's a shame. But realistically, with the whole industry, not even just the marijuana part of it, when you get into the hemp aspect of it, the different things with this country being in so much debt, we can create a natural export that that other people would need from us, and kind of get us out of that debt, and the fact that the government's so blind to it. And then you got people like Mr. Jeff Sessions is just, I don't know who pissing his Cheerios, but he's just freaking he's a monster when it comes to this. Probably has some big money tied up in the farm industry, I'm guessing. But thankful we have people like you and Neurology of Cannabis out there trying to educate the people and actually trying to fight the fight that we need, and kind of get things going the right way. So with my first question here is really, with what was voted on and what's actually allowed at this present moment, what are some things that qualify people to get their medical card?
Okay, so it's pretty easy. It's like, we call it 3 simple steps.
Okay.
So the first thing is you have to be a Florida resident.
Plain and simple.
Okay, so
Woohoo!
you have to have a driver's license or Florida ID that has your name on it. The second is you can be a snowboard. So you can fly in here. Now, the state definition of snowbird in this case seems to be anybody who lives here for 31 consecutive days.
In a row, okay. Right,
in a row. So obviously we have what we would all call kind of real snowbirds. 31 days is a vacation to me.
There's definitely a few of them that are here for a few months at a time.
Right. So they do have to jump through a couple of extra hoops. A lot of these guys, they'll own their own home, or they'll rent the same place, or they own a mobile home park or something like that. So one of the extra things you need besides a copy of their ID is either a copy of their property tax bill, a copy of a mortgage payment book with the address of the property on it, if they still have a mortgage, a copy of a utility bill. So obviously on property down here, you're only here half the year. You're going to keep the lights and electric running. So, and I also tell people, make sure when you print the bill out, you print the paper bill out because it has your address on it. Because if you can FPL, that's a way you just print out your bills, and there's nothing that ties you to it. It's just a bunch of numbers on a sheet of paper.
That's really
so the state's going to want to see that bill and say, okay, here's the address. Then if you're renting, you can use a lease from your landlord, but along with that, you need an affidavit from that landlord stating that you're going to be here and that you've been coming down here and renting from them and doing that. So kind of if you're renting and leasing, it's probably a little bit harder. But if you definitely are a property owner or own a mobile home or something and you're a snowbird, you should not have an issue qualifying from that part of the state requirements.
And what I want to ask to also, I guess, explain it further is the people out there, I don't think they really understand what Neurology of Cannabis does. So
so let me finish the three steps and we'll go into that, and that'll all kind of tie in together there. So after you qualify that as far as residency, then the next thing is to make sure you have a condition that qualifies under the state has a list. So I do not know that whole list. I can tell you that, the basics on there, if you have Parkinson's or cancer or MS or AIDS or epilepsy or anything like that, it's definitely going to qualify. Chronic pain is on that as well. And the state kind of defines chronic pain as the result from conditions similar to a lot of those base conditions, if you want to call it, like Parkinson's or something. So Parkinson's, you have a lot of shakes and that kind of stuff. So if there's some other injury that's happened to you that's causing those type of issues, and you're having a lot of pain from that, that could qualify you. So you really need to just call our office and we talk with you and find out what's going on with you, what you need it for, and try and find out whether you would qualify on that list. Most people really do, especially from the age bracket that we're seeing. Most people have had skin cancer. Like, cancer is one of those things. Cancer's cancer. Yeah. So if you've had skin cancer or you've had brain cancer, you can qualify. So then once you qualify that way, and we do that through a free consultation, you just give us a call, and then we qualify you on the phone or let you know that you don't qualify. And obviously if you qualify, then we set an appointment for you. Then you come into the office and you see Dr. Dan Stein, who's been here since 1993 as a neurologist in town. He's fairly well known, and we're getting a lot of referrals from docs in town, I think, because of that. Awesome. You'll sit down with him. He'll go over your plan, go over usage, put you in the registry. When you leave his office, you come and see me. I take your passport photo. We print out your application and have all your information that's needed. We take a copy of your driver's license because you need proof of residency and blow it up to make sure there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah, they can actually read it.
That's you. You can read it. It's color. It's like your license blown up. And then we ask everybody to bring a check for $75 because that's the state's fee. And then you sit with me. We go over the application, make sure everything's right. At that time, any questions you want to ask me about dosing or anything, I answer. And then we hand you a self-addressed stamped envelope. All you have to do is seal it up and put your return address on it and drop it in the mail and wait for the state to process the paperwork and send you your card. And that's right now about 4 to 6 weeks. Basically, the state just hired a third-party vendor. They're actually in Tampa. We just started sending stuff to them right at the first of the year. I'm hoping that they'll catch up, and it'll be more towards the 30-day mark, which is what state statute is. The health department
supposed to
30
be, yes.
days to get your card out, and I'm hoping maybe they'll get even quicker. They might get to a 3-week time span. Really, what would help it is if they could take a credit card. Most states do, but for some reason our state doesn't. It could make the process go a lot quicker, because you could actually have a choice with the state. You can either send it to them or you can upload it. But either way, you still have to send them something, because you have to send them your check for $75. So we kind of felt that it's best to send them one whole neat package with
Yes.
everything in it. So it's not disconnected, but hopefully maybe with this third-party vendor, they'll be able to take cards down the road, and it can be done just like that. I mean, we're in the 21st century.
For sure. I mean, with all this stuff going on, the biggest thing is it's so new here, the process and everything. So they're going to fine tune some of that stuff and make it a little bit more
and a lot of
easier.
And a lot of it has to do with the just still being so new, and it's still federally illegal. So there's a lot of banks and stuff that don't work with it. So people aren't trying to use the credit cards and stuff, obviously, because of those reasons. And
Well, strangely enough, like both I believe Arizona and Colorado will take cards off their state site.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to the health department. I mean, where banks have a problem is where if you have cannabis in it, or they know you're actually running in that industry. I don't really see why they don't, but it's the state's choice, obviously.
Yeah.
And hopefully all that stuff gets squared away soon too. I can see here with I think in the United States, federally wise, I think we will get to a point sometime in the near future where it is going to be probably federally legalized, as it should be, because I mean a lot of things are out there. You got tobacco. I mean, the way worse. They actually cause some of the things that medical marijuana is being prescribed for, like cancer. You have alcohol, which does a lot of damage to the body, and medical marijuana is being prescribed for some stuff that are effects of that. So I think if it's regulated and kind of handled in a similar situation, whether you got to be 18 or 21, depending on probably like the states, what they really want to do with it. I think that in the perfect world, in the future here, I think we will see something like that. And just being able to have like the banks be able to really get involved with some of these companies and stuff. I think some of the stuff that they're worried about, because it isn't federally legal, is going to kind of mess some things up, because you're talking about like say I go to like a True Leave up here in Bradenton, say I get my medical card. If I go there, now you're kind of putting them at risk, because they can only deal with cash only. They're not allowed to have bank accounts, so there's no way for them to really put their money. So now they're at risk, because who knows how many people go through there, a day or a week as this stuff starts to go on. People start getting more medically cleared. Now they're at risk because they're just got a bunch of cash on hand, and kind of makes them a target for like these gangs or cartels or stuff that they're worried about. When if they made everything legal, they can be like a normal, like a Pizza Hut, or like anything else that has like a Walmart. All those places make deposits. They do their bank statements. They do all that stuff. So as things progress and with places like Neurology of Cannabis, it's just going to kind of help everything tie together, and different things going on here in the state. With that being said, what are some things that you guys are doing behind the scenes, besides just like helping people get their medical cards and stuff like that? What's some stuff behind the scenes that are going on, maybe people might not know about, that you guys are kind of being active in and helping spread the word?
Oh, really? It's coming on stations like this. It's putting on educational events. I mean, we just opened October 5th. So one of the things you can do is you can get a caregiver card as well.
Okay.
So you can be a legal representative, or you can be a caregiver. So if you're a legal representative, it doesn't give you a lot of freedom. All it does is really gives you the ability to take the patient, to go in the dispensary with the patient. So if you have someone with mobility issues, so they can help them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't allow you to go for them
or grow or anything of that nature.
Right. Well, you can't grow now for anybody, unfortunately, but hopefully that'll change. So a caregiver card's the way to go. We've been, I started to realize this as I came back here, I was involved in the early push, and then when it didn't pass, I went back out to Arizona and California. I am part of a dispensary in Arizona and consult for other companies. So I really didn't keep up on what was going here, other than I knew it was happening. And then when I saw when it passed, I was like, finally, wahoo. So, coming back here, it took me a while just to kind of catch up and see people and kind of get the lay of the game and what's happening. So, I'm getting back involved with those people and trying to see what's actually going on in the state. I know that we just did an event at Selby Library day before yesterday. We have another one planned on the 24th, Jacaranda Library, which is a Saturday from 1 to 4. So like some of those people that I was talking about getting back involved with, so we partnered up with Dr. Klusen from IFAS in Sarasota County. And so we're able to go and use county property and help educate people. And he talks about the plant as part of his plant series through the University in Agriculture and how the University of Florida helps counties. Every county has one. So we're behind the scenes trying to help with that. And with them, he helps get his stuff out. We get our information out. And our plan hopefully then is to hopefully go do this in Manatee County too. Okay. And we're looking for maybe an advocate for the state even. I mean, I've talked to a couple of the growers, and there really needs to be someone that can help be between everybody, I think, and can help put good, solid facts and information out. Yeah. That people can grasp and go, get information and read it or hear it or whatever it takes to kind of get the solid facts out. Yeah, because there's so much confusion from the early days, I know, and it's still there from the low THC Amendment 2. Oh, we're going to pass this, and oh, you can't do that, but then you can do that, and then I come back, you can't smoke. It's like, it's going to go through growing pains. Every state does. Arizona took almost 3 years before the first dispensary opened, and the voters voted on it in 2010, and the first dispensary opened like in December of 2012.
Wow. So yeah, damn near 3 years.
Yeah. So, but they're further ahead than that in this state. It's up and running. Edibles should be online, I believe, hopefully by summertime. And it's, the state will realize that what they've done, they're going to need to change growers and that kind of stuff. I'm from the industry. I know what 25 good dispensaries will do, and they can't, unless they do big infrastructure changes, you can't support that. Something's going to happen here with that. That's going to be, the amount of growers they have for the state is probably enough to distribute Miami Lauderdale.
Exactly. And I think with that kind of a situation is you got a lot of people, like there are people in the industry that have been very familiar with the industry, and I think what we have here in our higher ups, the people who kind of run the state, is people who don't know, so they're kind of scared because they don't want to just jump in, they're full. They don't want to jump in full steam and have things messed up. So it's kind of like what you're saying, a little easier to get some baby steps, kind of like, okay, well now this is where we're at right now. What can we do to improve it? Then bam, something gets rewritten, blah blah blah.
And try to learn from
and
the
get
other
a little bit
states.
more leeway, learn from other states. Yep. I'm sure a lot of these guys are flying to some of these other states like California, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, different things like that. See what's working for them, what's not working for them, to kind of implement some stuff. Probably Michigan and some of those places as well. Now I kind of want to rewind a little bit with this caregiver's card.
Sure.
Now, can you have your medical card and be a caregiver?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if somebody wanted to, maybe was interested in being like a caregiver or going along that route, how would they get into getting their caregiver's card?
Okay, so it's a little different than what I think what most people from knowing about medical marijuana states,
what a caregiver really is.
What a caregiver is. So it's so finite here, and literally what it is a person that is able to go and purchase your medicine without you being there.
So here in the state of Florida,
that's really the bottom line, because that's all you can do. You can't grow for them. Okay, obviously, as anybody, you can give them advice and that kind of stuff, but the state isn't looking at it in that aspect. It's just more.
So as of right now in Florida, the caregiver would literally be the only thing you can do would be to go to like a True Leave, get whatever the patient may need, and drop it back off.
Right, and you can only be a caregiver for one person.
Okay.
So, obviously you're going to be a caregiver for either, if you're older and you don't have any family, a friend, or somebody in your family.
Okay, so as of right now, these are all things that can potentially, like
Change.
you said, baby steps, change, and all that
they
stuff.
could change it all into the caregivers can grow, 6 plants for
like Colorado.
for whoever
Okay.
they're a caregiver
Okay.
for. So
Now we do have somebody chiming in our Facebook Live. Logan, one of our really loyal listeners, he really great guy. He wants to know, after you get your card, do you have to renew it every so often?
okay, so here's a little bit how it works. So once you see us, you get your recommendation, you send your application in, you get your 4 to 6 weeks, you get your email from the state saying congratulations, card's coming in the mail. That email serves as a temporary card. At that point, the state, the day they issue that is what the date will be on your card, is how I understand it. And that's your anniversary date for that. Your anniversary date for our clinic is the date you came in. So there's a little disconnect, but there is in every state where the state actually puts cards out because you have that time in between. So whatever that is your lag time.
Okay.
So you'll pay them once a year, and you'll pay us once a year.
Okay.
So your anniversary date will be a little different. And, as it stands, that when you come and see us, we help you with that renewal application. So at that point, you can choose whether to wait that extra week or two or just send it in. Everybody sometimes gets all weirded out that, I'm not getting the last 2 weeks of my card. But, sometimes things just don't always work out.
Yeah.
But you just keep revolving. You'll see us once a year. You'll renew your card with the state once a year. And that's it. You do have to come in on a 210-day appointment every 210 days. We do not charge for that. You just pay us for the full year. So that includes your 1 year, 210-day follow-up.
Okay.
Where a lot of clinics are charging
Extra.
What is the
extra for
follow-up?
that.
What does that
By
pertain
state
to?
law, the state wants the doctor to see the patient. They
See
do
what
a
it's doing.
follow-up plan. So really, it's a very short appointment. There's some.
Is that kind of like is it something similar to like the pain medicine people? Like they have to.
No
like,
idea
do,
how they operate. I've never.
No, what I'm asking is, like, do they have to take a P test or anything to make sure that?
Oh
it's
no
in
no
their
no no
system?
no no! The testing, none of that. No, this
okay.
all that's like. This is like mellow stuff, dude.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was just
they're
wondering
just
because-
coming in. The state just wants them to come in and just the doctor to lay eyes on them. And there's the follow-up plan that they have to fill in. So there's some questions that they have answered. It's probably a 2-minute appointment.
They probably ask you how it's helping you, or has it been helping
Well,
you?
right.
Them simple things to see
No,
what's
no,
going
I
on.
was just wanted to
I
be sure
get you.
too,
No,
because
yeah,
my
we
grandmother, when
understand.
she went, she had to have that in her system, otherwise they wouldn't give it to
Well,
her. So I wanted to make sure
Are you
that.
talking about pain meds?
Yes, and
Yeah, pain
Well, yeah.
meds is a
That's
total
a totally different thing.
animal.
Yeah,
And
but I wanna
let me
make sure-
let me explain that to you real quick. What that's going on? What they're going on is because there were a bunch of people because with big pharma, as you can tell, there's like a lot of bad doctors in
Yeah.
that situation. So what was happening is you were just having people that had doctors that would just write scripts for money. So what those people were doing is they weren't necessarily taking the things, they were getting the prescriptions and then selling them on the black market.
Yeah.
So that's why they have to take a P test to make sure that drug is in their system, because if not, they can't keep renewing their script. So that's what
Yeah.
that's about. That's why
No.
your grandma's dealing with that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
they
get
thought
that, and I
she
wanted to
wasn't
make
taking it and selling it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Also with the marijuana, that they might think, okay, I'll be a caregiver. This is for such and such, but they really don't do it. So what I'll do is I'll either use it for myself or I'll sell it. So I just wanted to see.
Well, you can't.
Not necessarily
that-
we're going along that line, but I was just wondering
Yeah.
because of
You
what I've
can't-
been through with my grandma. That's all.
Yeah, with what I mean. First
that's
of all,
awesome.
you have a 70-day supply is the most you can buy.
Okay.
It's pretty. The regulations are pretty well set up. It'd be really tough and really not profitable in any form or fashion to try and
Yeah.
scam the system, so to speak, because it's just not. And it doesn't make any sense. And
Yeah.
One of our viewers asked, do you guys make diagnoses or do you have to be pre-diagnosed before you come in?
no, well, I'm not quite sure what they mean by that.
I think they're asking like,
Do you have to have like a pre-diagnosis from a doctor, or do
Saying
you
you
guys
already have-
Well,
diagnose
you don't
people with the
necessarily
problem?
need depending on the situation, it's appropriate that you would have seen a doctor.
Yeah.
So whatever information's out there, it depends. I'd almost need an example as to what they were talking about.
Like, I think I
nothing's
can-
real. Nothing's
Like
Go ahead.
like for instance, and I think this is probably going to help answer that. Like so me and my brother, we have back pains. Like he just recently got a updated MRI. So say you're suffering from back pain because some messed up disc or something like that. Would they need to bring in like their medical records for that? That would help get them the thing, or is that something that you can like? So they're like, hey, I'm having back pain. Can you like diagnose?
If it's just like a back pain, it has to be from something. So if you have like messed up discs, your back's broken up, you got degenerative stuff, and so it's pinching nerves,
Yes.
and that kind of thing. Yeah, probably don't need to bring that X-ray in. Obviously, it's out there.
In your medical records.
At your medical
Now-
records and at your doctor. So if it's something that he feels that he needs to have on record here at our office, then we'll get it. Otherwise, normally I don't have people bring stuff in. And that's through my conversation with them. So everybody's different. So there are times I have people, could you bring that in? There's times where I'm saying, no, you don't need to bring that in. I mean, like cancer patients, people with Parkinson's, and some of the more obvious stuff, I really don't have them go find their doctor piece of paper that, diagnose that.
You can literally
whatever
tell
that
they have
was. It's pretty obvious. So,
Okay.
Someone told me you
I try and make it easy for patients if
Judgment
I can.
calls, yeah.
Not have to jump through as many hoops
As we already
possible.
do, because there's so many hoops that you got to jump through already compared to the other
So
states.
someone told me that you can get a prescription for marijuana with postpartum stress.
PTSD.
Yeah.
PTSD's on the list.
Now,
so,
would you need like already pre-diagnosed for that? Maybe she meant something like that.
So
you know?
so if you had been to a psychologist or somebody and you have a lot of anxiety problem and been diagnosed with PTSD, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And
so
I
you
don't
wanna
need
have
anything. I don't
information.
really. You just need to know what doctor, who did that, and
Okay.
that's part of the paperwork. And in the interview too, if for some reason the doctor doesn't feel this guy's been doing this for a long time, so you're not going to probably be able. And he's a neurologist, so you're not going to be able to pull one over on him. you know?
Right. Also, now this probably wouldn't be through you guys, but do you know if they're going to do medical for animals? Because I've seen that it helps animals a lot too.
So I don't know per se. I know that there's already CBD treats on the market for dogs and cats and that kind of stuff. I'm actually friends with a couple of the companies. One of them's Pet Relief. They're out of Colorado.
Nice.
And the other one is Treatables. That's Treatables is a product from a company called Stlr, and they're up in the San Francisco area. They're really popular for their medicated pecans. But those are two good. They make good CBD treats for dogs. It's definitely, I guess, shown to mellow them out. They're real popular, like around the holidays, especially 4th of July and New Year's fireworks, that kind of stuff.
They get scared.
Some of the dogs that get more
Anxiety.
scared, it mellows them out.
Speaking of anxiety, one of our listeners was just asking about anxiety. Is that covered in the medical marijuana stuff here in Florida, or is it not like Colorado where it is?
It's somewhat covered. It depends on what's causing it.
Your level of anxiety and what it is.
Okay.
What's causing it.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering because one of our listeners obviously was asking.
Now,
Because usually that's caused by something else.
Yes, exactly.
now I got a question. Obviously, right here now, Florida, the main thing medical wise is the CBDs. And I know the difference between the CBDs and the THC medical marijuanas. what are some of the benefits of the CBD style stuff, and what are some of the benefits of the TH style stuff that some of us are hoping to get within the future here in the Florida medical marijuana?
So this is one of the things that's kind of a little bit of my pet peeve and what I consider to be more misinformation. So THC and CBD are the two most common cannabinoids in the marijuana plant. Also, just for a sidebar, also happen to have a patent on those two most cannabinoids is the United States government. But besides that, CBD has its use for more seizure stuff, and it's good separately for that. It's okay for a little bit of a mood altering change. It's not that great of a pain, although they say it is. I think a lot of the reason why people that have been using it feel relief from pain is because their pain's caused by some sort of spasm of some sort, and that is relieving that spasm, i.e. relieving that pain. So, and the other thing is anybody, if you really sit down and talk to them, will tell you that they start on CBD. They start with one dose, and 3-4 months later, they're doing probably triple or quadruple that dose. And there's a reason for that. And then they quit using it because it gets to a point. And if they are not okay with getting a high, then they're missing the boat, because the reality of it is you need the whole plant, all of it.
Yes.
Marijuana is a plant. I think the reason why it hasn't fit into the mold of medicine, that's a polyisomer that is the backbone of medicine in this country, and the reality is all of our majority of our medicine has come from plants, but over time that's all been synthesized. And the whole kind of
synthetics
thing about medicine is they want to be able to synthesize it, so it's, in their mind, being able to dose. It's not so much money, but it's being able to dose it, and you have control over it. Well, marijuana is a plant that is not that simple, where the elements for these different drugs are just the element in that one plant. Marijuana has not that they don't have other elements, but marijuana seems to be more complicated. And it seems to be THC and CBD work together. And what's strange enough, people don't understand that CBD is an antagonist to THC. So if you get really, 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 really high, you can actually do a dose of CBD and it'll bring that high down. Wow. So there's a company called Mary's Medicinals. They're in Denver, Colorado. It's where they started. They're actually going to be having their products in the state. They're the first company that came out with patches. They have kind of what I call the Timber. You'll see the 5-minute boost on the shelves in all these stores, energy boost shots. They have something, but it's all CBD. Okay. And they kind of market it as a shot. So with dabs and everything up there, if you get a little too high, you can take that and that'll calm it down. So the other thing is then when CBD got to be a big thing with the whole Charlotte's Web and all that, back when there became there's different groups of people started breeding and doing other things, and shortly a strain came out called Canatonic. Canatonic was probably one of the first 1-to-1 strains. There's a bunch of them now, Shark Attack, and there's a bunch of other ones where the THC amount and the CBD amount are more equal. So as a general rule, most marijuana plants would test out anywhere between, back then they were 14 to 21. Now they're probably 16 to 27, 28. There has been some 30 tested. Yep. And CBD's always been, no matter where you are in that THC percentage, anywhere from 0.5% to 2%. So they started breeding more CBD into these strains and getting a 1-to-1 where the CBD wasn't like 30 or 60% like Charlotte's Web, which is really a hemp plant. It was more into the 10, 12, 14%, and the THC was in the same ballpark. So a good 1-to-1 would be anywhere from like 12 to 14% THC and around the same CBD, and they found that it gave a different high. It was really good for pain, and it's great for medicating over the course of a day because you don't get quite the same euphoric effect from it, so you're able to operate a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of really see what you're talking about too, because it's like, with like the prescriptions, and like if you think about like a prescription medicine, say you go to a doctor. Kind of like going around the route like what Scooby was talking about. Say you get prescribed like Percocets. They know like it's the Percocet pills, this many milligrams, with the marijuana. Like you were saying, some of the stuff's all different as far as the percentages per the plant. For different, and there's
terpenes
so many strains
that are involved.
Terps,
so you have aromatherapy that's involved in it. All that comes into it. CBN, all kinds of different cannabinoids. There's, that's the thing. We need good research because, a few years ago there was supposedly only 96. Now there's supposedly 100 and something. And when you look online, you really can't get quite a straight answer as to how many cannabinoids are in this plant. So it tells me we need more research. Who knows what else that we might be missing?
And there are a lot of the bigger universities across the country that are starting to open programs that are doing a lot of research on a lot of these plants. And the thing about it is with the growing community, as somebody who's invested in other states with the different rec shops or medical shops and stuff like that, you probably know there's different strains being created every day because it's what they do. They're like, some of those growers are like mad scientists. They're like trying to find something better, make something better, try to find stuff that helps maybe sleeping or pain or different, because there's still so much different stuff. And I mean, even what you're talking about with like the aromatherapy, are they making like candles with this stuff, or like maybe like those bath bombs that you throw in the water?
There is stuff like that on the market. You go out west, I hate to say it, California and Colorado are kind of like the motherland of everything. And California especially, because it's been going on longer. There's all kinds of stuff cannabis is being used for. I don't know, or I haven't seen candles with that kind of aromas, but I'm sure somebody's making them in California and selling them. I can tell you that like Whoopi Goldberg has a line of products with a gal called Maya, and they have bath bombs, and they have stuff for feminine, for helping that time of month, and it's huge out there. Their bath soak sells off the shelf.
Okay, so I
believe it.
So it's
and that's something that can make their way down here
eventually.
Okay,
but the market has to change.
And see, that's what I wanted to ask you.
And the perception and the openness and the government has to get and understand that it's not just all what their perception is.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one thing with our laws kind of being stricter, like you can't smoke and certain things with the whole medical marijuana situation here. I was just wondering if those were some of the things, because I have read a bunch of different stuff. Like they got like I think like CBD or infused like tampons and stuff like that for like the ladies and different things like that. That stuff's not available here yet, though, huh?
No, I haven't seen that, but I wouldn't be surprised if any of that. I mean,
they may have a website.
Marijuana in general has helped a ton of people with cramps. I mean, tons. So. So yeah, I mean, and that's just, unfortunately, that's not one of the. But if you have fibromyalgia, qualify.
All right.
It really does help so many things, common day things, and everything, and it's just so much better for you than prescription pills or alcohol or anything like that, because you can't get addicted for one, so you don't withdraw, and you don't get caught up. Well, I mean,
there's a fine line there. Is it addictive? No, but it can be somewhat psychologically
like
addictive.
Yeah.
But it's not that you're not going to go through withdrawals.
Yeah.
All my experiences, what I've seen from people who are not doing it, they're not in a good mood maybe for a couple of weeks, but.
You never hear these horror stories about marijuana.
They're definitely not. You're not finding them in bed, shaking and sweating, and having somebody,
or drunk driving. Compared to
Right, exactly. You don't go through any of that kind of stuff. So,
oh man, unfortunately, I've been to some. I've had to take the adult vacation, if you will, where you're not really allowed to go out and do certain things. And if you've ever been into Sarasota's finest downtown and got some of those 3 hots and the cots, the people that do come in off the streets that are like addicts to some serious drugs, I mean, they've been in. I've seen some in holding cells where they're just literally crying, like, because they're withdrawing so bad that they end up having to move them to the medical wing and all that stuff, and really kind of like, I don't know what they do. They probably wean them down, but it's sad that something like that, a substance, has so much control over somebody. Where, like you said, like, with marijuana, I mean, it's whether it's you're using recreational or medical, you're not getting none of that kind of stuff. If you, like you said, if say a couple weeks.
And I've never met anybody who felt they had to like roll anybody or rob anybody to go buy a joint.
Exactly.
Like,
I need to go boost this car stereo with
right, because I need to go buy a dime bag from I've just never known any of that to ever happen. And the other thing I always say is, and I ask a lot of officers when I see them, and I challenge them to the point: have you ever been to a domestic violence situation where marijuana has been the only substance being used there?
Probably not.
And of course they say no.
Find anybody to.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, people drink beer and smoke weed, but there are people who just smoke weed and don't drink, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to their house.
I mean, I know one of those people.
You're not going to their, not for no domestic violence anyway.
I've never known anybody to hit someone because they smoked their last bowl.
With the
Most
cops,
likely they got along after that.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, with a lot of cops here, I mean, even some that I've dealt with locally, they're just so tired of the marijuana stuff anyways, that they're,
they have way better things to do with their life.
They got way better things to do than write 3 hours worth of paperwork because they caught you with a joint.
I had a cop tell me that he couldn't wait until it was legal here so he could see how many other cops smoke, because he knew they did.
I thought they do drug tests, don't they?
Maybe,
probably.
It's random. It's random.
They probably get the random, like, hey, this day coming.
I have friends from up north who are retired. One SWAT and one Harbor dog, canine, and they couldn't wait. They down here they smoke. It's everywhere. Everybody smokes. I think when you're young, you kind of think, doctor, but it turns out the doctor probably smoking, or your attorney or whatever. I mean, more people come out of the closet. It takes a while. And speaking of that, I still get people, because there's a question on our application, for our office, do you smoke? And it's just more for us to know, so that when the doctor looks at it, he knows whether he has someone who has zero experience or someone who has experience, because the conversation obviously will be different. And I get people that go, well, that question, what should I answer? I'm like, well, do you? And they go, yeah. And I go, well, then the answer is yes. It's okay, man. That's what you're here for.
Well, it was taboo. And to kind of give you an example, so, my brother worked at a lounge out there in Colorado. Our aunt, who is my dad's older sister, obviously grew up in the era where they had the reefer madness and all that stuff. For this whole entire time of her life, until she came out there and actually seen one of the grows that they were a part of and got some knowledge about it, her and her husband, who's a retired fire chief, this entire time of their lives, you're talking about people in their late 60s, probably early 70s, creeping up in the area, the entire time thought that you smoked the actual, like, the leaf. The leaf that you see is like the national symbol for marijuana, the leaf. They thought that's what you smoked. They didn't even know anything about the buds, anything like that, because of the reefer madness. So you have people that are, from, especially like some of the older crowd from back in the day, that are just misinformed because they've never been around it. And it's like, it was like the taboo thing where, like, I can see how that, do I smoke?
You take some old people and, you put 10 jars in front of them and you open them up and you let them smell the 10 different smells. They're like, whoa.
Yeah, I bet you guys probably get some pretty good reaction from some of those people.
Well, not in this state, but and Arizona and stuff, and states of Indian, I've gotten that tons. People, wow, they don't really.
It's almost like a whole new world.
Right,
to them.
it is, and that's what I'm helping. And that's what I'm helping, because I would say right now a majority of our patients are my age to older, and we have a fair amount of people that just have no experience with it at all, and they're clueless, and that's to be expected, and that's why I'm here. I tell every one of my patients, call me. You have a question, I give them my card with our number on it, and I put their patient number on the back of it. It's just one way we give the patient number to them. We give it to them a couple different times. And I say, hey, keep this in your wallet. That way you have our card, and there's your patient number, so you always have it in your wallet if you need it. And if you have any questions, just give me a call. Because I don't mind answering, questions on if they have strains at True Leaf or wherever, and you want to know, should I try this strain? Because it's going to take time. But I also tell people to educate themselves, because it's better to educate and help teach people how they can educate themselves than to always be the library. So I always tell people to go to Leafly. I'm telling these people to go to Leafly, giving them basic knowledge. I mean, that's probably something
that's one of the
young
best
people already know about, but they don't. And I explained to them, look, that you're going to see a lot of the same kind of symptoms are covered, but that's telling you that there are different strains, and different strains still work differently for different people. And even though they're all going to cover maybe your symptom, you should try them all, because one is going to work better for you than others. And also there's going to be a bunch of them that work real well for you. And if you keep using the same one all the time, it's going to quit working, because that's the nature of the beast. So you have to mix it up.
Now, with that being said, go ahead, Smokey.
I have two questions. We have some of our listeners that are just listening in. They got in a little later. Some of them were wanting to know, what were the rates again for, to come see you, and also for the state? And also, there was another question that I had, which is, for the people who are using the medical marijuana and actually have like high-profile jobs and situations of that nature, are they having to worry about drug testing and situations to where they can lose their job still over this situation, because it is still federally illegal?
Okay, so as far as our fees, we charge $250 for the year.
For the whole year?
So that's one whole year. That includes your 5. We do 70-day OAs, which is like your prescription, just for a better, easy word. That includes all your OAs for the year, which is like 5 of them. And that includes your follow-up 210-day visit.
Okay.
It also includes, as a first-time patient, us helping you with the application and taking your passport photo. We actually take your picture. I have a passport photo camera there, and we put your application together. And like I said earlier, we hand you a self-addressed stamped envelope. We ask that you bring a check for $75 made out to the Florida Department of Health for the card. So we stick that in the envelope. We hand you that envelope it's already stamped and self-addressed. All you have to do is mail it to the state and wait for them to process it and send you your card. As far as drug testing and all that, so look, it's an employer-based thing. This is a right-to-work state. I think it's to your micro business job, and or that might not be the right phrase, but your relationship with your work. So is your boss cool?
Okay.
Or is your boss not cool?
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
If you're working for a large corporation,
probably not.
Whatever their probably not. whatever their laws are, you're going to have to go by. So look, if you haven't been tested before and you don't come in smelling, there's no reason for you to be tested.
Panicking or nothing.
But isn't it like if you get drug tested for a job but you're prescribed a medication, can't you fail for that medication?
Here is the key word that you said.
Federally illegal.
No, prescribed. First of all, I don't prescribe anything, and you'll see I don't try real hard not to use the word prescribe. Or like I use prescription, I said back OA. So people are, well, what's an OA? It stands for order authorization. And they're like, well, what's that? Well, the best way it expires every 70 days. So the best way medically, it's like you get scripts. They expire every 90 days or whatever. You have to go get it renewed. So that's the state's version of medical marijuana. So we give a recommendation. We legally, because it's federally legally, you can't give a prescription. So that's where verbiage gets real technical in this industry.
Yes.
So we give a recommendation. I give you a recommendation.
Which
the state is giving you a card for that recommendation, allowing you to go purchase it through their regulated
There's
industry.
limits, right?
Right.
And did different people get different limits, or is there like an overall?
No, so as far as what you can get, this state, like some states, there'll be, because we don't sell flour yet, it's all in ounces or grams. This state, everything's in milligrams and THC or CBD. So you bank your milligrams. So how they're going to do this with flour and on a large scale, probably they're going to look at the percentage of whatever it tests at, and they're going to do that times whatever grams you have. So like if it tests at 23%, they're going to say that bud at a gram has 230 milligrams of THC in it. So an ounce might have 6,600 milligrams of THC in it. So in order to get an ounce, let's say, of medicine, if they had that program available now, you would have to have at least 6,000 or 7,000 milligrams of THC banked in your account. So it's all
strands.
done not by strains. This is
Okay.
just straight, just in your account. So when you get your card, part of that is your order authorization, and you get the how you can use it. So in this state, you can either inhale it, or you can use orals, or you can use creams. So you have to have inhalant. So inhalant allows you to get vape pens. All right. So if you have inhalant as one of them, because you can have two, you can get your vape pen, and then the doctor's going to put, okay, if you're an experienced user, he's probably going to recommend you at 10 milligrams 5 times a day. So you're going to have 10 times 5 is 50. 50 times 70 is whatever that is. That's how many milligrams you have banked, and that's what you should use over that period. Now, I have them bank a little bit extra because things happen. Also, if you have a cartridge or something that doesn't work, you can change it out, or if you don't get credit for something, I want to make sure people have, I'd rather have them have too much than not enough.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like they're going to overdose on it. So, and I'm not
That's
putting
awesome.
millions in, but I'm making sure within reason that, they have enough. So when you go into a dispensary and they pull you up from your patient number, it shows to them you have inhalation and oral. Let's say, okay, so you can get vape pens. Here's our vape pens, and then you can buy however they have it set up by milligram, because everything is either 250 milligram or 600 milligram or 1,000 milligram, which is weighted out. A quarter gram, half a gram, or 0.6 of a gram, or 1,000 milligrams would be a gram. So if you bought 1,000 milligram vape pen and walked out, and you had 10,000 THC milligrams banked for your 70 days, you would leave there with 9,000 banked.
Okay.
So every time you go in, you draw down to zero.
And did they like slide the card or whatever, and it puts points on for is that how it kind of works?
So it's done through us at our office. So we set that up at the initial, meeting we have with you, the initial appointment. And then, when they expire every 70 days, we actually send you an email where a lot of clinics will charge you and make you come in. We just send you an email letting you know it's expiring. If you want to change something, that 70 days you feel, well, I need more of this, or, I don't want to use that, I need to change to this because this isn't working for me, then we just have you call the office and you go, hey, everything's great, but I don't want to vape anymore. I'm thinking I just want to use these pills. And so I'll take vape off and give you pills and make sure you have the appropriate amount of THC on your 70-day to cover you for that.
That's cool.
Now, with the $250 that you guys charge for the year for you guys, that does not include the $75 for the state, right?
No, that's something totally different.
I'm just
so if
making
you want
sure
to give
for our
a total,
viewers so everybody
it's
knows.
$250 to us and $75 to the state.
So
So that's $3
$325.
$3.25. Now, also, I didn't get to put out there. So for all you vets, and thank you for your service, we have a veterans discount. It's $50. So if you're a veteran, it's $200 for us for the year, and then $75 to the state. So it'd be $275 to the state if you're
now that's a very
total
good
if you're
deal.
a veteran.
So, Someone mentioned that about concealed carry
That's what I was
permit.
gonna say.
So can
All
you
right.
not have the?
No, you're not
No,
allowed.
you're not
Wow.
allowed. This is one, very few marijuana
lot of
states
states are
have,
like that.
have picked up, but this state's been pushing it, and more, I think, are starting to pick up on it. It's kind of an obscure federal law, and
Yeah.
so they're. My understanding is they're just going to give you a choice,
And-
you
That
you
is
can
not
have one or
fair.
the
Now,
other.
now
Yeah.
that's another thing that can
Protection
change
or-
through
There-
voting.
it's going to be changing soon because there are a lot of NRA people who actually smoke and everything as well that don't believe what. Okay, well,
How
what's
does
the
that make
difference?
sense? You can
How
buy
can
prescription
Th-
pills,
That's
which
what we
make
were
you
just going to get
terrible,
at.
you know?
You can have freaking oxycontins, but you can still have a
Alcohol.
gun.
Well,
Yeah, what?
it comes from and
know.
kind of
Oxycontin's
what
worse
I
than
call a
One
kind
at a
of
time.
a kind of an obscure law. So it's been a federal law that you can't possess a firearm if you have a legal substance, and that's really more obviously if you're anything you're growing or whatever legal. I mean, it goes right down to probably moonshining. So I would imagine if you're carrying a gun out in the middle of the woods in Kentucky and you're shining, they're going to bust you for shining. They're going to bust you for having a gun. It's a felony. So like most.
Yes.
They're always trying to add stuff on. So
Yeah, I
this is
know.
a federal government add-on, and it's been on the books. And most of the time, it's not really been an issue. Obviously, like in California, if you're growing illegally and you got busted, or Colorado or anywhere you had guns, that
They're hitting you with it.
they're going to hit you with it, and that's kind of where it stemmed from. So, being that really is a federal law. They're extrapolating it into this situation where, well, it's another hoop that they have control over that they can make people jump through. Well, technically, and they're right, technically. But again, up until recently, most medical marijuana states have not really pushed that issue. It's something that's kind of been new.
All right, so
Now I have a
Hope on
question. With some of the stuff with you, obviously you've been in this situation for a while. In some of the other states like Arizona, what are some I guess kind of like testimonies? Because I know you probably got the patient privilege and all that stuff. But what are some things that you've physically seen with your own eyes about maybe people like switching from, the big pharma situation to the medical situation, and how they've improved, how much healthier they are, and some different things like that? Because I know he's told me some stories of just seeing like people with Parkinson's, really shaking, and then just from coming in and taking treatments and different stuff.
Just a dab, like one dab,
Right.
and you'll sit there and see the whole. They'll go from shaking like this. They'll take one dab, and then 3 minutes,
Amazing.
not even like 3 to 5 minutes later, you'll see them, and they're sitting there normal. Their hands aren't moving,
What a
and
relief.
you can just see it in their face, like
So
literally.
calm.
Yeah, it's relief.
Like when you
Relief.
literally go from like you're just a normal person, and then the next thing you know, you got Parkinson's and you're shaking all the time, and that's all. Like
To
with me,
not be
I
able
would
to
love to
legally-
not have back pain. That's why I got up a couple times, just so you guys know I have. My back is really acting up right now, but just to be able to not feel that for the 45 minutes that they're really lifted or whatever from the the CBDs and the THC, and just to see them sitting there and the relief on their face of just being like, holy shit, I can actually just
I can function
not
properly, right?
Yeah.
not sit
Yeah.
here and shake to death, like,
Yes.
or like I've seen people that have, even stuff like where they're literally breathing through, you got to talk to them and they have breathing tubes and everything, and they'll take that shit out just to get stoned or whatever, and it takes away that pain, or it takes away, that sensation of, just feeling worthless for a while, and you could just see that on people's faces, and just to see people who are actually needing it, not people that are just. There's people that are just out there trying to, obviously, recreational usage and just actually get stoned. Yes, but when you actually see it help somebody who actually needs it, that has Parkinson's, I've seen it help people because where I was at, you're literally right there next to the Olympic training facility as well in Colorado. We were right next to the Olympic training facility. So we watched, some of the Olympic wrestlers and stuff would come in and they would literally use it. They hang out with Michael Phelps and shit, and they would tell us stories of how, they use it for the reason like
Pain.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff too. Their workout. That's what they do. They work out. They go and smoke because that's how he would relax his muscles and then go back to working out again. And that's how they got bigger and stronger. That's what they believe. People do believe that it helps them in that kind of way.
It does.
And that's what they did. And just to see them come in, shit, they believe that 110%. Like, and you can't tell somebody who's actually going through it. Like this little 12-year-old girl that's trying to sue Jeff Sessions because she can't leave. She can't use the medical marijuana to leave Colorado to go visit her grandma in Texas. So she's trying to literally sue Jeff Sessions for everybody's right to be able to use it without getting in trouble, her family getting arrested and going to a foster care and everything of that nature. There's a lot of good beneficial things that happen. She hasn't had freaking a seizure in over 2.5 years. You can't tell a 12-year-old girl she's lying that. Now, an adult maybe, but somebody who's 12 years old, who's a little kid, and to see the benefits of it actually helping, you can't deny that it's helping. You know? Same thing with, like he was even saying, the federal government. Tell me right now, why the federal government, if it has no reasons of helping or beneficial reasons, why have they had the patent since 1976, I believe it is, or something of that nature?
Yeah, the dates I'm not sure of.
I'm not either, but you know, why do they have it if it's not beneficial? There's a lot of benefits, and even in the school that I'm going to right now, Learn Sativa, in Orlando, we were even talking, there's over 400 CBDs that they've already come out with, but only 85 of them had actual testing done to them so far. So you're telling me that the 300 and whatever remaining,
you mean cannabinoids?
Yeah, cannabinoids, the CBDs and all that stuff that haven't even been tested yet.
And you know, it's
fully
not
tested.
even just the marijuana that's so beneficial to people, like health-wise, but also I heard cars could run off of hemp fuel. We can make clothes. We can make rope.
Exactly.
We can do so much with this plant that's banned, and it's so good.
If you go Jack Hare,
yes.
Okay, so Jack Hare's a strain,
a good one.
all right, but Jack Hare is actually an advocate, and there's a book called "The Emperor Wears No Clothes." It's a little tedious book to read through, but if you read that book, you'll learn a lot about the history about the Tax Stamp Act in 1937 and how this whole prohibition thing really came about. And you'll also learn that basically everything that you can get from fossil fuels, you can get from hemp.
Wow.
From plastics to fuel
We could be doing so
to
much.
buildings. I mean, hemp blocks have a higher R. I mean, you can build a house out of hemp block that you probably wouldn't even need air conditioning.
Wow.
I mean, the R rating's like in the hundreds.
Yep,
It's
yep.
like
That
stupid.
hempcrete is
It
really
is
They don't
so.
want you to have
It is
all
so. I mean,
Easy
you
to
go
make and it's
22, 28, 40 something is like the highest insulation thing you can get. It's like 100 or 200. It's like stupid. It's such a huge difference. It's crazy.
It's amazing all the things one plant can do.
Yeah.
And that they're trying to keep from
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
You know, there's a lot of good beneficial situations that can come from this. They just, what it is, like I've already said, there's a lot of people that are in Congress, the Senate, and situations that are of the older generations. You know, you're talking that are 80, 90 years old that really still believe the old ways, and they've been in office for 30 years. You know, we need to get some of the younger, the 30, the 40, the 50-year-old. My dad's age, my dad's 50 years old, but a lot of his friends do see the beneficial values of it and the help that it can do. You know, there's a lot of beneficial things that come from it that we aren't taking notice of in the government's eyes. You know, people are starting to realize it here as in the people wise, but the government still tries to deny it.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we brought up earlier we didn't really get to talk about is, you know, where this all is going. So there's 27 medical marijuana states right now.
Yes.
And there are, I think it's either 8 or 9. I have to sit and think about it for a second.
Recreational, yes.
Wow.
That includes DC, okay? Wow. So I kind of look at this whole thing, if you know, we all look at history to kind of learn a little bit. I look at prohibition. So I look at how prohibition came and went for alcohol, and I look at this as being prohibition, and I see how it came, and now I see how it's going the opposite way. And kind of the same thing happened with alcohol. One state started with, we're going back to drinking, then another one, then all of a sudden, boom, Congress repealed. So alcohol, different substance than marijuana, a lot more, I think, readily acceptable even after that Puritan age. So
When, do you
we're
know
going in the right direction, and we're over half the states. I think we're at a point now where you add a couple of more states. And I used to think that it was going to be the medical states that's going to be the push. I think it's going to be more combination. I think you add another 4 or 5 recreational states, the government's going to have to do something. I mean, right now, almost Arizona goes rec. You can travel anywhere out west other than Utah and Montana and New Mexico and buy weed freely.
Wow.
So that's almost half of our country land-wise, you know.
Recreational, you have to have a card too, right?
No,
Or no?
you don't have to have anything.
No card.
21 and
Recreational,
up.
you just have to be 21.
Yeah, with
So-
recreational, it's just like if you go to the liquor store.
Right.
As long as you're 21, you got a valid ID, you're good to go. Now, and with the medical card, a lot of the states are the rule is you have to be 21, but you have to have the medical card as well.
So, it's been good rec for places with medical card because weed's gone down. I mean, the price of medicine goes down. When it went rec in Colorado, medicine went from $3.50 to $1.40, $1.60 on medical.
But it just went back up in certain states. California, I know.
Well, there's a 29% tax, so now medical is about the same in Cali. It's about the same, so you can still buy what they consider a cap there, which is an eighth for $35-$40. But
and there's that top shelf like exclusive stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, because I'm just wondering because I know
they
Burner.
don't have a lot of bunk in
I know Burner and well, there's I know what you mean, but I mean like the super exclusives because I know
might
cookies.
Be a little more. You might be 55.
Like
or
the
something
cookie
like
strains
that.
with Burner and everybody. They're charging. They just went rec obviously in the beginning of the year, but they're charging $587 an ounce. For
recreational.
For recreational weed, which is very, very high, though.
Yeah, there's a 29% tax. Yeah, I had my friend, because I haven't been there since it passed. I was living there when it voted.
Yes.
Because what was cool about California is on the second when they said, "Oh, we have legal marijuana," you were legal right then. You just couldn't. They hadn't had the rules set up, but
yes.
You were legal. So. And that'll probably change. The prices will start to come down. But, yeah, it's going to be expensive, rec, and it always has been. But the key is that it's good because it forces medical prices down. So it helps at least maybe some people that couldn't get as much as they needed or people that were just kind of priced out of the market because they don't have the money to get a card or anything, at least go and get some relief. I mean, our fees will hopefully come down. I mean, when I first went to California, I paid $150 for my caregiver, or $150 for my caregiver, and $150 for my medical card. And by the time I left there, I was like, I don't know, the last card I renewed there was $50. So I'm hoping that the state fee will come down. Like Colorado, the red card's $15 to the state. So I'm hoping the state fee will come down. I'm hoping our fee will only be, $100 or so. We're about as low as I think we can go because there's so much other stuff we have to do in this state that you don't have to do in other states.
When you first gave out the prices, one of our listeners chimed in and said, that is the cheapest one I've heard of.
Oh, yeah, by far. So, look, I'm from that area, and I came here to do this. And the first thing I did before I went to look for a doc was find out what everyone's charging. And it didn't take me long to figure out, holy cow. So, yeah, I came in here to shake it up. And believe me, I'm going to shake this area up, and I think I already have. Because once people realize we're legit, and I'm $250 or $200 if you're a vet, and there's no goofing around, I'm already getting patients that are going, oh, well, their renewal's coming up, and they're going to come to see me. Do you want to spend $600? Do you want to spend $250? Well,
exactly.
Do you want to have to go see them 5 times a year? Do you want to see them twice a year and get an email? And if you need to change something, you pick up the phone.
Yeah,
I'm going to be sending my grandfather to you because, like I said, he had just done that, and he told me the price he paid. And then when you were going over yours, I was like, oh, wow, yeah. So definitely, Gramps will be seeing you when his renewal comes up.
Cool.
Grandma, too. My grandma.
Right.
Yeah, my cousin's been talking to her about it, and she's always been like, kind of off about it, but lately she's been having a lot of joint pain and just a lot of problems, and she's kind of been like mentioning it to him, like, well, what's this stuff about again? What's the CB? Trying to ask about it, and so I think she would need something like that. It would be
Some
good for
edible
her.
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
best for her.
Let her look, joint pain and that kind of stuff. So CBD alone is not going to help her very much.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to want to give her whole plant, but start her if she's not really. I'm very much pro vaping or smoking because that's the biggest and quickest way. The next way is going to be taking a tincture. A tincture. After that, you're going to want to be an edible. The thing about edibles is you don't know when it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
Everybody's metabolism,
different, yep.
everybody's different. So they're great for a long haul because they do last longer. So depending on what's going on with you, that's the one great thing about our clinic. I have experience in this. You go to all these other doctors around here, if they don't have someone in their clinic that has cannabis experience, they don't know anything about really how to dose, what to tell people in different situations, because they have no experience with it.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, and unless you know where to look, probably a good majority of the stuff online is wrong or anecdotal or it's misinformation. So you even have to kind of know where to find even good information with medical marijuana. So it's important, I believe, to make sure you go to a doctor. You don't have to come to us, but you need to go to a doctor at least that has somebody in that clinic that can help him and teach him, and so you can get answers to questions that they don't have experience with. They haven't had anybody come in at Parkinson's that's used it, or cancer, or any of that kind of stuff.
Now I got a question because you used a word that maybe people might not be familiar with. You mentioned tinctures. Could you kind of explain to our audience what tinctures are, because they may not know what it is?
So tinctures is a form of so I guess the best way I can say is we all have probably taken fruit and a bottle of vodka and stuck it together and gotten whatever flavored fruit that is, flavored vodka, before it all came out for us. It's very similar. You take the plant, and usually it's steeped in alcohol, and then you get a slurry from that, and then you mix it with something, whether it's another oil. A good favorite thing is honey. So a lot of tinctures are made from honey.
Okay.
And it's something that's sublingual that you just put in your tongue and you let it dissolve on your membrane there. So that's going to get into your system. Probably the next quickest is like smoking something goes through your lungs.
And I've actually experienced those. My dad, when he was out in Colorado, used to make those for his pain and stuff. And it'd be almost like if anybody's ever, I'm pretty sure the cult classic Wizard of Oz, a lot of people have probably seen that. And you got the Tin Man's like,
right.
As soon as Dorothy starts oiling him up, he's just like, now he went from like being stiff, now he's like doing the robot and break dance and stuff like that.
Right.
My dad was kind of like the same way. It was like he would have like a bottle with like a little, almost like an eyedropper in it. Then you just take your dose, or sometimes he'd put in his coffee, and by the time he gets done drinking his coffee, it's like almost like the Tin Man got his oil, and he's moving around, getting up and down stairs like none other, like he was our age. So that's another thing that I want people to be informed up on, because I've personally seen it with my own family member and see how it does work. So be open to some of these new things, because a lot of people with marijuana, the main thing that they know about is smoking it, and with that being not an option here in Florida as of right now, which people like John Morgan are fighting to get everything situated in that aspect. I definitely want people to keep open-minded and be informed, because tinctures, edibles, some things like that are really a good alternative to the smoking.
Right. So in the state where you have available is you can vape. So you can get vape pens, you can get tinctures, you can get oils, and you can get creams. So for me, it's only kind of part of a tool case for helping people, but it's enough. Definitely you want to have flower and have more strains. It's going to give more variety. We definitely need more strains on vape pens here. It's very limited. But, depending on your ailment, there's certain ways. It's not just all one thing. I'll tell cancer patients to do something different than I would tell a Parkinson's patient. If you're a cancer patient and you're just getting out of chemo and you're real nauseous, it might not be you want to put anything in your mouth.
Yeah.
So, vaping or smoking is about the most you're probably gonna get in. If you can't put something in your mouth and you don't want to smoke, then that's where a tincture can come in, because a tincture and vaping is going to give you effect fairly quickly. At least it should if it's done right. From then, you're going to have somewhat of an appetite, and you can start nourishing yourself with real food, and that's where edibles can come in, where you start eating edibles, and then that's coming online because everybody metabolizes it differently, and they'll last a little bit longer. So there's different ways of getting these cannabinoids in your system so that they can continue to help you over the course of a day or get you to sleep at night. So it's not just about, I get a lot of patients because we give out, try 20 milligrams 5 times a day. It's just how the state has it set up. So I have to educate a lot of these elderly people and say, look, this is something you use when you need it. It's not so strict that, okay, take 2 of these 5 times a day. It's you get up and you take a couple of hits. If you need more, you take a couple of more hits. 2 hours later, you feel you need it, take another hit. You use it as you need it. It's not something that you should suffer in pain while you're waiting to use it because you feel you're only supposed to use it 5 times a day. And a lot of people don't understand.
And I think basically what you're trying to get at too is because there's not the medical risk that some of these opiates and stuff that people are getting prescribed.
Right.
Since there isn't the risk of an overdose or something like that, it's kind of like trial and error. If like for instance, like DJ K here at the end, she's a smaller girl. Maybe a 250 milligram edible will affect her to where if maybe I had the same exact problem she had, I might need the 600 or 1,000 because of my tolerance or whatnot. So it's one of those things what you're saying is like, don't really look at it as like, hey, I got to take a Xanax. I need to take 2 Xanax in the morning, 2 Xanax for a couple hours later, like that. It's just use it as you need it, and then that's what the 70-day calls for. So that way, if it's working, but I kind of feel like I need a little bit more because I'm going through it, then you guys can make the adjustments.
And that's typical too because you build tolerance. So you might need your first 70-day your last 70-day might be higher, might stay the same. We might be adding another 5 or 10,000 milligrams to it. It all depends. And you can't really tell that until you start using it and finding out how it's going to
how the effects are getting to you.
And I think that's one thing that's going to constantly change. I want people to be aware of because of, especially here in Florida, because I've been to places like California, Colorado. I've experienced different things like that. So at the end of the day, as you use different strands, as you use different things, they're going to affect you differently. The tolerance is going to hit you a different way depending on what it is. So it's always going to be kind of like a trial and error situation. See what works for you. Stay talking to your doctor. Keep them in the loop so that way you always do have the proper treatment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much us too. You want to rely on the dispensaries because those guys behind the counter should have a wealth of knowledge as well, and they should be able to help guide you with what products and the strains that they have and what's coming online. We can only help you with a little bit on dosing and that kind of stuff. Really, a lot of it starts at the dispensaries.
The budtenders knowledge.
That's where your variety is, and that's where I tell people, look, I can tell you how to use it, when to use it, but you have to figure out
what works for
what's going to work for you and what's the best thing for you. I can't help you with that.
And that's where places like Leafly.com,
right?
They got an app for it. You can just type in the name of it. It'll tell you the feeling for it,
all the different kind of strains names and what their
what's
effects.
in it to make that particular strain, what it's a cross with, if it's a hybrid, if it's sativa, indica dominant. It tells you all that stuff. It tells you if it works for anxiety, for pain, for sleeping, for any of those kind of things. So people, if you, I'm sure a lot of people are informed, but there are a lot of people who aren't informed. So if that's, get on there and just start playing around with something like a Leafly.com, like Brad was saying earlier. Type in the name of a cannabis and just start reading about it, and it's going to tell you different things. And as you just go through, it's almost like it's really like a pot dictionary is the best way to explain it.
Yeah, I kind of say they kind of came up with the periodic table, which is our
pretty
elements
much,
of marijuana. So. Yeah, it's cool what they've done.
And they kind of did take the periodics because they do like it'll be like
because I think hybrids are green and indicas are purple and sativas are yellow. I think
something like that.
Yeah.
So it is color coded and stuff like that. So there are, and especially with Florida, it is one of those things that this is going to evolve. We're not quite near anywhere like a Colorado or a California is yet. Hopefully that's what we are aiming for, situations like that. And every one thing about dispensaries that people need to realize is too, it's kind of like a McDonald's or a Wendy's or a Burger King. Like, yeah, they kind of got the same stuff there, but they have like, the different there's different burgers at Burger King than there are at McDonald's. There's different menu that there is at Wendy's. So your dispensaries, there may be certain strands at one dispensary that the other ones don't have. So just keep your options open, check it out, and don't be scared to ask questions, because these bud tenders, when you start dealing with these dispensaries, a lot of them are very knowledgeable, because if they're having an end, they're probably going on a Leafly and getting some of this information, because people are going to ask, because some people don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's on the dispensaries to make sure, obviously, their personnel are well trained, and I'm sure they are. And you're right, you should try other places. I know Truliev's the closest, but Stlr did just open up a brick and mortar store in Northport, so we all get around. I mean, we all have cars, so hey, take a weekend trip, go down to Northport, see what's going on, go check Stlr out, or go up to Tampa or Clearwater, where some of the other places are.
Now, one of our viewers chimed in and wants to know, how many dispensaries currently are there in Florida?
I don't know the exact number. I can tell you that Trulieve is getting ready to push their 25 probably in the next 6 months, I think.
Okay.
So there'll be 25 of them. So I would say they have probably 16, 17 in the state now, maybe. I'm not sure. You can go on their site, trulieve.com, and you probably find that out. And then, so Cureleaf, N.O.C Farms, and Stlr are just starting to open up dispensaries. Stlr is starting to roll theirs out, so I know they have like 2 or 3, I think. I know they've opened in Miami, they've opened in Northport, but I'm not sure of any other ones. I'm sure there's probably other places in the state I'm just not sure of, or no
so
one's
probably
told
around
me.
about maybe 50 to more, something that you could probably Google and search that.
But I'd say probably less than 30.
Okay.
But the thing is they all have like delivery point areas. So there's only really 4 of the original 7. There's only 4 that are really are licensed to that have their license to distribute or to dispense. So the rest are coming online, and they're in their different phases of that. So there's only really 4 that are up and operating right now anyway.
Wow.
So and that's Cureleaf, Stlr, N.O.C Farms, and Trulieve.
So limited on the options as of right now, but as everything, as we know, with the next year, definitely going to see some change.
So locally here, Plants of Ruskin won one of their certificates, also Three Boys Farm. So I know I met John from Plants of Ruskin, but I know Robert Torella from Three Boys Farms. They're probably 6 months, 7 months out. Plants of Ruskin probably should. AltMed is doing their all their lab work and stuff. So I know that they've started growing already. I know they popped seeds a while ago. So they're probably 4 months out for harvest, and probably another 2. So I would say by end of summer, locally there should at least be somebody who's distributing product, and that would be Plants of Ruskin. And then by then, I'm sure at least 2 or 3 others should be coming online. So edibles are also coming sometime during this summer. So, it is, like you said, it's a growing curve, and we're growing, and people have to be patient.
The baby steps are getting there.
There is going to be, there's not enough medicine to go around. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And I hate to talk about it, but it's a fact. And part of the thing, what I would say to people is, I know you can go in there and you get 70 days, and it's kind of natural to want to go and stock up. But on the other hand, it might be better maybe if people kind of just got what they needed, so that more people can get medicine. And then maybe if people weren't stocking up so much, maybe it would spread out a little bit better, and you could consistently continue to get your medicine, and maybe not have 10 vape pens in your house, and maybe just have one, and know you're going out, and you're getting low, and go to Trulieve and get another one for that week or whatever. But those things are all going to change. It's just a matter of time.
I like how we're saying it's growing, and we're talking about plants anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Beautiful pun.
Yeah.
One of our listeners chimed in. He said, "How do you get your medical card for a strain to help with sleeping and chronic back pain?" Just, Chris, to be able to answer your question, you would just have to give them a call at Neurology of Cannabis. They're here locally here in Sarasota. If you give them a call, you can set up your free consultation to go in there and talk to them, and they will let you know if what you have going on actually qualifies for it, and they will help you walk you through getting your medical card. It's not much. It's only $75 to the state, and it's $250 to them for the year. And if you're a veteran, it's $200. So you even save $50. So you just go to them, you hit them up, get the consultation, and just see if the conditions that you have qualify you for medical marijuana here in Florida. And if they do, they will issue you your stuff and help you go about getting your medical marijuana the right way, brother.
Just so you know, I'm here, and I answered that phone. So
yeah,
let me give you the number. It's 941-600-9055. 941-600-9055. I'm not going to be able to answer that phone for a few hours, obviously. I'm on air. But if you want to call and leave a message, I certainly will call you back this afternoon and, and help you any way we can.
Now, I got a question as far as the whole edible situation goes, because I've been to some of these other states. Are we going to have the same variety of edibles as someone like, Colorado? They have drinks. They have obviously had the brownies, the different kinds of candies. Is it going to be kind of a similar situation here, or is that going to be kind of regulated as well?
Like
probably gummy. So I know that gummy bears and that kind of stuff and candy is not going to be allowed through the state. Most of the edibles are probably going to be chocolate or cookies or brownies or something along that line. So the state's real big on not having anything along the candy looking. California also on their rec, they banned gummy bears and all that stuff. So you can't have anything that looks like candy. And I think that's going to kind of be something that's going to change, and probably all the states over time, I would imagine. So start off, you're probably just going to have candy bars and cookies and brownies and that kind of stuff. I would imagine as time goes on, I mean, there's no reason why you can't have drinks.
Yeah. I was going to say, have you had the Sons of Sativa drinks?
Out in
Colorado?
I've had Keef Cola because I know those guys.
Okay.
So I've had theirs, but I've had a Dixie Elixir a couple of times.
I've heard of the Dixie. I actually wanted to try the Dixie Elixirs. I heard they're very good product.
Yeah, and then and that's it. Well, no, I had something in California. I was working for a company out there, and I was helping set up. They actually have they sell a lot of preteens and clones and stuff in their dispensary, and I can't remember what it was that I drank, but they have all kinds of stuff coming out there. I mean, there's constantly new products hitting the market in California. I went out there to try and start an edible cookie company, just didn't have enough funding.
Yeah.
Take and bake concept, where I was selling frozen cookie dough. So you just went home and
make your own.
Bake your own. If you wanted 2 50-milligram cookies, you stuck them in the oven, and 12 minutes later you had a hot chocolate chip cookie.
I like
so
that.
Hopefully stuff like that will come as the state grows and regulations change, and more and more people get involved.
I really liked out there in Colorado. They had these lemon drops, like little hard candies.
Yep.
Those are really good, man. Especially like if you maybe like me, I kind of get a little claustrophobic sometimes flying an airplane. So you take a couple of those, and it kind of just helps you relax.
Chiba Chews are a big one too. I mean, I think that's where I got the whole Tootsie Roll idea, because a Chiba Chew reminds me of a Tootsie Roll.
Yep.
And kind of my thing for people, I go, well, look, when you're taking like a distillate oil, if you don't want to smoke and they want to eat it and they're putting it on a cracker, I go buy yourself a Tootsie Roll and just, warm it up a little bit in your hand and ply it out and stick the drop in there and ball it up and eat it. It's like the next best thing to a Chiba Chew.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Man, we definitely appreciate you taking your time out, man, and coming in here and talking about all this stuff, man. Really, really informative. A lot of our people are out here like, man, we're going to see these guys and looking to help with their medical issues. And if you guys want to see you, if they want to come see you, where's the address?
So we're at 5602 Marquesas Circle. So that's off of Clark and Sawyer. We don't take walk-ins right now, unfortunately, but we're working towards it. It's by appointment only. So we just opened on October 5th. So I'm starting to look for a place where we can have separate clinic from his neurology office because we're taking appointments and working out of his actual doctor's office. But that's where we're located, and we're taking appointments every day. So
awesome. I'm probably going to be coming down to see you soon too, man, and talk to you about this whole situation and really get into it. And definitely look forward to, we talked a little bit off air, any of the people that are informative in the medical marijuana game that want to come through here and talk to us, more than welcome to have them come through.
Cool. Yeah, I know a few people, so we'll see what we can line up for you.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. We're going to take a brief break, and we'll come back in to wrap up the show. Actually, you know what? We'll cut it off a little early now because we do got to get Nelly to Fresco's. It's his appointment day today.
Oh yeah, I got to go take him there, huh?
Yeah, we got to get him in there at 10 o'clock. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Neurology of Cannabis. Make sure you guys look them up. They do have a Facebook, Neurology of Cannabis. I've tagged them a few times on our page.
Yeah, and
we tagged them on the STLR page and all that stuff as well.
I also have the number right here. That the one that you will be talking to is Brad. That's the one we have in studio right now. Brad's a very nice guy, obviously, very informative. I mean, I wrote a whole page of notes the whole time, like. So, and every question I was about to ask, he was answering. So I was like, never mind. Thank you very much. So
thanks, man.
No problem. Thank you. And our audience thanks you. I saw a whole bunch of comments. We can't wait to get down there. So that is the number, guys. You guys got to call them before you set up anything. Obviously, he said you can't just walk into the office because they are working out of his actual doctor office. So give him a call and you'll talk to Brad and find out what he can do for you guys.
We're going to take our 21-hour break. I'm High C. This has been the Morning Wood for Neurology of Cannabis, Smokey, Scooby, and On. I'm High C. Peace out.